I recently found a gym where customers spend over 50,000 rupees per month on their fitness. And I was super intrigued to find out what is so special about it. Luckily for me, Knox is run by a friend from school, Joel. And today he's giving me a full tour of his facility and breaking down the business model.
This is quite like the Matrix.
This is an 8,000 square feet facility in Gurgaon with red light therapy beds, cryotherapy machines, and a lot more to help with skin rejuvenation, hormone regulation, and building athletic performance.
Switch it on and you take a half an hour nap inside it.
And that's not all. They have IV drips on call and a full-fledged health cafe.
How big a space is this?
This is about 1,000 square feet.
They've built an entire ecosystem with athleisure, boxing gloves, protein supplements, and whatever you may need to walk in and get going. The club is built around the theme of boxing and goes further into categories like animal flow, calisthenics, and plyometrics. And I can't wait to understand everything about what kind of people come to this gym, how much money does it take to build such a facility, what are the monthly costs to run this, and how can one replicate this model in other parts of the country. This is Founder's Office with Sarthak Ahuja.
Joel, how long do you think you can survive like one punch? One on your face and you will be done. No?
No. Maybe a few more.
Oh, nonsense. Anyway, so fun stuff. At our office when we were planning this entire shoot and we were going through all the Knox videos, right? I think everyone was just stuck at watching one video on loop, which was Joel with his shirt off. and I had my idea then. I was like, what we want for this episode to increase engagement on the product and on the episode is have your shirt off. And every answer that you give has to be in 6 points so that, your abs are kind of like bullets and we'll have all those points showing up.
I think we'll have to have 8 points.
But then when Joel walked into the gym this morning, I saw he was wearing his short shorts and I thought this is good enough. I think that's enough eye candy for all of us. And I'm allowed to say this because Joel and I went to school together and all boys school. So I guess people expect all boys school people to say it, right?
No, it's a pleasure seeing you after so long and hanging out after 2007.
Yeah.
And I have fond memories of spending time with you in the Interact clubs.
And I remember both of us were equally round-faced. And look at the transformation. I mean, you've not just gotten more chiseled, you've also gotten like a bronzer done or something. I don't know if it's the red light therapy bed, but I definitely need a lot more tips on how to look better on camera. But thank you, Joel. Thank you for doing this. I think this is going to be a fun episode. What we want to learn today from you is I saw Knox and I was absolutely thrilled by what you're building in fitness. And there are a lot of people who want to start businesses. They have the location. They think either I can open like a nice restaurant or I can do a good gym. And I think gym as a business is typically looked at as parents thinking, let me put in some capital, बच्चे को set कर देते हैं. Let's put in the infrastructure and it'll automatically generate money. But when I saw what you're building is at Knox, I figured this is not what it is. This is something new age. So I'm understanding that for a person who comes to Knox, ideally the minimum spend they should be ready to make per month is about 10,000 per month on their fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally at the very minimum. And on an average, they could be spending about 40-50K per month on their fitness in the community if they want to really maximize the returns. It could fit anywhere in this range.
It's very individual. Like it's very individual. Like there are people who come and train with me just once a week, and the rest 5 days they're going to a gym.
Okay.
Right, and I'm helping them what they should be doing there.
So they're coming to you for the guidance.
Yes.
And they're paying for that 1 hour of personal training.
Yes.
And then you could tell them go to a gym and just do this.
Yes.
But here I also think that if the value proposition is in the personal training, people already have personal trainers come to home, right? So how do you define the value proposition for them to keep coming back? If they're not taking the class, is it the vibe of the place or what is it really?
Yeah, so we've always been very design first. Like if you see Knox, when you come in, like you really feel nice here, right? Everything is very conducive to fitness. The other thing, like I spoke about, is everybody here is working towards something. So when you walk into a room and there are 10 people working towards something, like you get more motivated, right? And also the trainers here. So what happens is, if say you call somebody home, right? Now the trainer might be very good, right? But he has a certain skill set. But what if your goals change? But here, if I am doing strength and training, somebody's doing animal flow, somebody's teaching boxing, you start getting bored of what you're doing, right? And you're just doing fitness not to become a professional, or you're not very, say, passionate about it also, but you know it's required as a health point of view, right? And it's a big return on investment of the hour that you're putting in for fitness. So tomorrow you could try something else within the ecosystem.
Correct.
Because you're seeing somebody else doing it. You might give that a shot, right? And you start building bonds and friends. Like if you're coming at 6 p.m. every Friday, it's highly that the other people around you are also the same people, right? We've seen people who did not know each other are hanging out outside of Knox. They've met in Knox, right? Business relationships are made because there's a certain kind of people who come to Knox, right? And we're always happy to refer. Like in fact, the person who's done the interiors of Knox is now a client at Knox. Somebody who's done branding is a client of Knox. You so see a lot of brands were kept out as merch, and the stuff that we sell, the clients of Knox.
Got it.
So it's a good ecosystem of like-minded people, and you want to be surrounded by such people to know, like what you're doing is like there are other people in it too. Right?
So what I'm hearing or guessing is, because we're sitting in Delhi and Gurgaon is where you've got the two Knox studios. So what kind of customer persona do you think from a percentage split?
Okay, so gender basis, when we started out, it was mostly women coming to us, and there were men coming only for boxing. Now we've got a better split, like we've got more men, but it's still more women dominant. Like you were here in the morning and you saw like mostly women.
And why do you think women started? Is it because they like working out as part of a community, or they, like, I'm just trying to think what is the pull for women?
So think of a typical gym. Like I don't think it's very conducive for women, right? It'll be 95% men.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we created that safe space. Firstly, the kind of trainers we have, they come from various backgrounds, and most of them have switched to fitness as passion, like me. We've got somebody from law background. We've got somebody who used to do events earlier. So there's a high level of relatability of the trainers and the clients here. So I think that made it feel safe, and I think women have always gone to these studios, boutique studios for group classes. So it was an easier pull for us to get the women in first.
So would you say like 60-65% women, 30-35% men?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one gender split. The second was with respect to goals. Like what do you think is the proportion?
I think now it's become a lot more strength and injury prevention and basic combating your lifestyle problems, like a lawyer or somebody who's spending a lot of time on the desk on the computer would be rounded, hunched, shoulder issues, a lot of people hip issues. So I think that's primary now.
Mobility and strength?
Yes, mobility and strength.
And you think from a background, can you put some data or insight around what kind of people really come to Knox?
A lot of entrepreneurs come to us, professionals, lawyers. So it's a mixed bag. Like I can't say this is our target audience, but it's...
Okay, so that's sorted. Now, how much is the area that you think you definitely need as a bare minimum? And then what is the ideal for you to build a gym that can give a Knox-like experience?
So the bare minimum would be what we did with Lajpat Nagar. It was about 3,300 square feet. You enter, there's a small reception with a coffee counter, and there's just washrooms and the PT area and the ring. So that's the bare minimum. And if you see a facility like this, this is all a huge 1,500 square feet PT area. We've got about 1,000 square feet in the group class area. We've got really big washrooms here. We've got a full 1,500 square feet cafe, big reception, and even a space that we've let out to the Wellness Co, which has some biohacking therapies like the red light therapy, localized cryo, compression booths, IV on request, and all of that.
So how much is this? About 5,000 square?
This is 8,500.
8,500?
Yeah.
Okay, so isn't this a little too much?
So So what happened with Gurgaon was we were looking at locations and we were looking for something at about 5,000 square feet. But when this space came in, we said, let's take it, because the difference of the rentals on, say, Golf Course Road versus where we are right now, we're paying a little lesser or maybe same, but for almost double the area.
So you'd say about 5,000-6,000 square feet
Yeah.
would be an ideal place to build an experience like Knox.
More than ideal. Like it'll
Okay,
be a
so
very
5,000
comfortable.
is
Yes,
very comfortable.
Yes.
So if you have the choice to say replicate and scale, you would say 5,000
Yes.
is perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So how much do you think is the capex that goes into building this space, and how much area would you divide to what category? Imagine someone gives you a 5,000 of a bare shell.
So it'll always be dependent upon what shape.
Imagine we've
A
got
plot,
a square
yeah.
or a rectangle,
Yeah.
so you've got all the flexibility possible.
So first we'll prioritize the PT area, right? I'll first place the ring because that's
PT being the personal trainer.
This is the personal area. So I'll first put the ring and I'll put all the equipment around. So this should be around, say, 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. But if I'm opening in a place where I feel my PTs are going to be more and I don't want to limit my earnings, because this is the bulk of my earnings. So I don't want to limit this. So I might increase a little bit more, right? And then I would prioritize my washrooms. That'd be about 300 to 500 square feet.
Okay, so 1,500 of PT.
Yeah.
300 square feet of
3 to 500 square
3 to
feet.
500 is bathroom.
Bathrooms, lockers,
That
and all of
takes
this.
away 2,000.
Yeah. Then you'll have your reception, which will be again about 300 to 500 or square feet.
Okay.
And your group classes, which are about 800 to 1,000 square feet, and rest goes in passages and all of those things.
So group classes take slightly lesser space than the
Yes.
personal trainer.
Yes.
Because there could be multiple people with trainers
Yes,
and stuff.
yes, yes.
How much do you think the rink really contributes to the vibe or the conversion? Like, do you think boxing is a big enough pull that having a rink is like so necessary for you to build a Knox experience?
Like I feel a lot of people do come for the boxing experience. It would still contribute for more than 30% of the sessions that happen. While I'm not saying everybody is coming in just for boxing, they might do it for cardio.
Now, what do you think is the capex that would go into 5,000 square feet? How much money would one have to invest?
I can tell you about what we do. So I think about 1.5 crores to 2 crores is what we would spend in a 5,000 areas.
Okay.
Square,
So
square
1.5
feet.
to 2 crores.
Yes.
And how would you split that across interiors and equipment and other stuff?
So I would say the equipment that's required for weight training and stuff doesn't cost a lot for us. That would be at a cap of say 30 to 35 lakhs.
Okay.
And the rest of the stuff goes into interiors. Like you see, we give special attention to detail. We're very design forward. We made sure the AQI is maintained here.
So when you're saying the weight training equipment would be about 30-35 lakhs,
Yeah.
if as a next category I were to look at say ACs, music systems, air purifiers, projectors, screens,
Yeah.
all of these electronics
Yeah.
that go into it, how much do you think that would come to?
That would be another almost similar to the equipment cost.
So another 35 lakhs.
to 40
say
lakhs.
70 lakhs.
Yeah.
70 to 80 lakhs
Yeah.
would go into this.
Yeah.
So it's only the interior contractor, which is essentially the doing of the interiors, which is
Yes.
costing about 1 crore.
Yes.
And I would keep another 20-30 lakhs of other miscellaneous, which
Yes.
is pre-operational,
Correct.
fit out period and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes. Because your rubber flooring and all is also quite expensive. We put like very thick rubber flooring. So there's shock absorption, there are people who are doing plyometrics, jumping on the floors and this and that. So like a lot of specialized equipment is being used. And coming from a background of say opening so many retail outlets, I pay close attention to the kind of electrical safety systems we use.
Okay.
The last thing I want is, electrical hazard or something like that.
Okay.
So we spend a little extra on those things.
And in terms of operational expenses on a monthly basis, let's look at what do you think would be rent, manpower, and utilities.
Okay, so the biggest costs are manpower. It's almost 40%.
Really?
But for us, it's our cogs also, right?
Yeah, correct. No,
Right,
I understand that. Okay.
Yeah.
So 40%,
Yeah.
fair enough.
And then I would say for a healthy business, the rent should never go up above 15%.
Sure.
and our utilities are about 10 to 15%. So basically,
so 55 plus 15, that's 70 gone. So
yeah,
it's a 30% is what can ideally be your
yes,
margin
30 to 35% unit economics.
revenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think for a space like that would be the ideal revenue per month? Imagine on a 5,000 square feet.
You could hit these numbers at say a 20 lakh revenue.
So at a 20 lakh revenue, ideally you would say that don't have a rent of more than 3 lakh.
About 4 lakhs.
4 lakhs of rent on a 20 lakh revenue. Got it. And for 20 lakh, typically how many people do you think you would require? About 200 members?
Less than that.
Less than that?
Less than that. So you actually need about 40 to 60 regular clients coming in to break even.
So if I say 50,
Yeah.
that means 50 people
Coming in
on
4
an
times
average,
a week. Yeah.
40,000 per month
Yeah.
is the spend.
Yeah.
That will take your monthly revenue to 20 lakhs.
Yes.
Yes. So in 20 lakhs, if you're saving about 6 lakhs a month, your payback period in a year, you recover about 72 lakhs.
Yeah.
And you essentially recover in about 2.5 to 3 years is when you should be able to recover your entire capex.
Yeah, like a good number to that would be say 24 months, but we've always aimed to, and be lucky to have hit it in 12 to 18 months.
Okay. So now we have a broad idea on exactly how the economics works on a monthly basis and the payback and the capex. Now I do know that you've got say a part of the gym here you've given away to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Do you guys manage it, or is it co-managed, or it's managed by someone else? That's one. So that definitely contributes to some revenue. I know there's a red light therapy, cryotherapy area. You sell merch, which includes apparel, protein, and all of that. How much of the revenue does that contribute to?
So I'll keep the restaurant separate because we run it under a separate entity altogether. And what we've done is we've partnered up with somebody who has the expertise of the kitchen. We sort of sublease.
Got it.
So that the rent also becomes a little more variable.
So would you say it's like a revenue share in some way?
No, we just take rent from them.
Okay, so you just take rent.
Yes.
So I would not include it in this business, but if someone has to, they can maybe do a revenue share, and this adds to the whole vibe of a place. It makes it complete. Like someone can eat here if they want to.
As far as a merch goes, so I'll say consolidate merch and say the ready to eat products, because in the other center we don't have a cafe. So that contributes to about 5 to 7%. So this is your t-shirts, sweatshirts, boxing gloves.
So 5 to 7% on the top line.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would say you would make a margin of about 20-30% on that.
About on an average it would be that, because about 20%, 20 to 30% is what we charge people as a margin, depending upon the price of the product. And we've got higher margins on the products that we make ourselves, but that we do very limited drops.
Got it. So now from a customer acquisition perspective, you didn't mention that most of the members today are through referral, and even at the Run Club and stuff, they come through referral. I have seen your content on social media also. So that definitely brings some. But what I realize about social media is that people from all over the country could possibly be following you, but they may not have access to the Knox gym because you're physically located only in NCR. So where do you think is your scale from a customer acquisition or the customer to get to know about Knox?
So there are certain things that happen organically, like say our Instagram. We're posting content, educational or client testimonials that reach out to people. Then what we do is we also host workshops and events, right? These are sometimes they're in-house. We'll call like a good trainer that introduces a lot more people, say, to Knox. And again, though the social media amplifies it. Then we have offline events where we typically have sponsors and partners, and those guys also amplify about the event and eventually about Knox.
And these would be fitness brands?
Yes, like athleisure brands, fitness brands. And also we're a pet-friendly gym, so a lot of pet brands come in, and maybe dog parents get to know about a gym that is open to pets. So there are a bunch of ways, but I still feel the offline conversations that our clients have through the progress they've made, that's the biggest contributor of the leads coming in.
Okay. And what I'm thinking is, even if someone had to replicate your model, one, how do you pick trainers? Is there an eligibility criteria? How do you find these trainers? Is there a filtration on these kind of people? Even though they're good, we will not take.
Okay.
And then how long would they continue? Because the problem with a lot of personal training or personal service kind of businesses is they may use a space to get customers, and then they could also say, listen, I'm willing to do it at a cheaper price for you personally. And then that may also lead to leakage for the business. So anything around how do you build the team, the culture, the cost, retain them?
Very interesting. So I feel what we've managed to do is create a good reputation for a personal trainer. We've sort of elevated what a personal trainer could feel like, the reputation that he has. There's a camaraderie between the trainers here. Like I said, we learn from each other because we respect each other. You go to any other gym, he'd always be like, the other trainer's bad, I'll teach you. He doesn't know, I'll teach you. But here it's the opposite. Like if you come training with me and you say, "Meko HIIT karna hai, I want to do HIIT today," I will say, the other guy's an expert in HIIT, do go with him. So we all understand we're good at something, or this is our speciality, and we respect each other, learn from each other. And this is the only gym in the country that I've seen, or abroad also where I've been, that a single client might be training with multiple trainers, right? So you might be training strength with me, boxing with somebody else.
So it's kind of like multiple experts working on building a person's goal, helping
Yes.
them achieve their goal together.
Yes.
Okay. So when you pay these trainers,
Yeah.
how much of it is like a fixed component? How much of it is variable? If the primary income essentially for the gym comes from personal training, do you think all of it can be variable, and that's where it works best, where you say 40% of whatever you bring is going to be directly given to you?
So what we've done is we have a fixed that we pay somebody because we understand it takes some time for people to stabilize, get some sessions in, like I said, get ingrained with the culture so people start accepting you also. But beyond a certain point, they're incentivized to take every session, right? So there's a minimum pay that we guarantee, but you can make a lot of money being a coach at Knox.
Okay, so if someone had to work only on imagine a fixed pay.
Yeah.
Think someone is trying to replicate Knox
Yeah.
in another city.
Yeah.
He's not affiliated to you, but he's
Yeah.
really inspired by what you guys have done. And he's thinking of hiring trainers. Initially, what percentage of revenue do you think, if you remove the variable, should go to the manpower?
I feel it's a very tricky situation because
I understand.
because they're like, if there are 10 trainers and they're all getting paid the fixed amount, regardless if you're taking 10 sessions or you're taking 20 sessions a day, right? So why would somebody be willing to take 20 sessions, right? It'll just spoil the whole dynamics. Like I think it's not going to work. Like for
But
that
if you were
reason,
to, so what I'm thinking is, if you were to remove the variable
Yeah.
portion, maybe your cost would be left at about 25%.
yeah.
But it won't, then this system won't work.
Yeah, the system won't work then.
Okay, and when you pay them a variable pay, which is a bonus or however you may call it, what are the metrics on the basis of which is it evaluated? Is it purely based on the number of sessions they do, or are there some other metrics that come in for you to kind of keep a check on it? Or the culture takes a check of it and it's purely related to hours?
So they get paid per hour. So they get a minimum capping, and basis that number, there's a certain number of fixed sessions that you have to do that you're not going to be paid for, and beyond that you start getting paid per session.
So for example, let's take the example of one. Can you give me, like, throw me a number that a person comes in at a price of
Say 30,000.
30,000 rupees a month?
Yeah. So that person has to spend say 6 to 8 hours in a day, 6 days a week at the gym
6 to 8 hours every day.
for 6 days.
So it's like their full-time job.
Yes, correct, right? So up to their 40 sessions or 42 sessions, they don't get paid anything. They'll get paid there fixed.
Up to 42 sessions.
Yes.
How do you calculate that? So when do you think it typically happens?
So we've kept that at about like 750 rupees a session or something,
Okay.
right? And Post that they get 800 or 900 or 1000 or 1200, depending upon various factors, what tier he is in, how long he's been in the system, and those things, right? So it's fixed as per the number of sessions he's taking. Now every year there's an increment on that amount. So if you were getting, say, paid 1,000 rupees this year per session after you broke your threshold, how much will you make next year? So now we have certain KRAs. Now the KRAs would be, the bulk of it would go towards how many number of sessions you've taken. The second topmost would be, what is your NPS? Like, what's your feedback bit? Like, somebody's taking a lot of sessions, but his feedback is really bad. That's not good for the business.
And how do you measure feedback?
So we, like I told you, we've got a very robust CRM method. There's somebody from the team who's reaching out to clients.
Okay.
Right? Very regularly. There's somebody at the gym, they'll keep asking them, how's your experience, how you're doing, and to an extent that even the promoters know a client's name if they've not come visited the gym in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We know who's traveling, we know who's pregnant, we know who's injured, like we know all of it. So we're
look
very
at that
close.
data on seeing who's being regular, who's not, who's mapped to whom.
Yes, yes. Then there's discipline. If somebody's come late to class, all of those things count. Then if they've done any continuing education in the past 1 year, and if they've contributed towards Knox and the community, which they're not getting paid for, like for somebody like who's running the run club, because he's showing up at 7 a.m. Every day and he's not being paid for it, but he's doing it. So those things will all count for how much you're going to make next year per session.
And as his tier increases, the charge per hour from the customer increases, and you're also kind of giving them a part of it, which only makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And what does the organizational structure look like? Like, how many people at the top of the HO? How would you divide roles? And then what does the tier or the pyramid look like?
So primarily we have 4 of us at the top. So one of them heads the business, like a CEO position, but he also handles the branding and marketing aspect of it. The other person handles finance aspect of it and also the tech, because they go closely. By tech I mean, the booking platform, the payment gateways and all of that. So that we've clubbed it with finance. Then the third person looks after events, like the retreats that we do and the events that happen here or parties that we do here and all of those things. And I handle the trainers and the operations. So that's how it's broadly categorized. Okay. Then we have certain agencies that help us with social media, reporting into the teams. Then we've got a CRM team who's in close touch with almost all the clients on a daily basis. And then for the operations, we have the housekeeping and the front desk and all of that. So primarily just this.
And at the gym, how many people do you need at the front desk? Or let's think about it, that if it's a 5,000 square feet, how many people would you need and split it across trainers and admin?
So admin, we don't really need
like
a lot of people. So we are an app-based booking platform. So you book your session and you come in for your session, right? But we still have admin, because in India we're spoiled for somebody to do things for us. But also it feels comfortable that somebody's there. So the CRM person could also solve for that. So that's one. Then obviously the housekeeping staff that we keep.
How many people?
You could say we have about 1 for every 700 or 800 square feet in a shift. So the Lajpat Nagar would have 3 people at a time, and here we would have about 5 people because there's more closed areas here. Trainers, when we're planning stuff, we like to put 25 clients for each trainer when we're doing the math. Typically, a trainer would have between 16 and 18 regular clients, and some of them would be floating. By floating, I mean like I would have some recurring clients that would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m., somebody 6 p.m., 7 p.m. And somebody's in the system but can't get the slots of their choice, so they wait for some cancellations to happen or fill in with clients. Or there are some people who work doesn't allow them to have fixed slots, so they'll come in as and when they go. But there are trainers who are training upwards of 35 people in a month, also unique people. Now, this is usually more so with the case of people who are teaching certain kind of skills. So they have people who coming once in a week with them, but overall about 16 to 18 people per trainer.
And now that you're at 2 studios, as we'd like to call it, and you would want to say expand to other cities. First, for financing, the kind of options you have is either you take debt from a bank if it's a profitable business and you say, I just want to open up a store, and you give a project report. Second is you speak with an investor who puts in equity. Now this could either be angels or it could be a VC. Would a VC think of this as a business where they can get like a 10x return? Maybe not. Maybe that's the reason why VCs don't put in money in, say, restaurants and offline things. They want something which is more scalable in tech. But a lot of family offices and angels could be interested, right? Or you could go down the franchisee route. So from a scale perspective, what do you think is the best suited for you? How would you want to scale?
Like, I feel VC is not the right way for us, at least right now. Because for them, every rupee that they put, they're looking at a multiple. It's an option A versus option B. And there are businesses that can scale much sooner than we can. We're here to build a brand and build a community. So that's a little longer process. But the outcomes are good. And definitely we can have multiple returns for the investors that come in and believe in the product. So this would be, I think, family offices. And also friends of Knox and clients of Knox. I think that's the right way to go. And in an ideal situation, I'd need upfront money of, say, 5 to 7 centers, so I can expand in the next 12 to 24 months. But we also don't want to do it too fast or too soon, right? We want to work better on our train-the-trainer systems, have robust mechanisms for bookings, and we don't want to face issues that we face at scale. So we're working on that, and we have to go at the right pace.
Thanks, Joel. I think anyone who wants to set up like a business in fitness and sports, this can definitely be like a masterclass. They can take away a lot of takeaways from, and start off using these financial metrics and all the capex and the culture and the team and all of that. And all the best to you. I think a lot more Knox in Bombay, Bangalore, Pune as we go along, so that no matter where I travel, I will have a Knox wherever I go.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, buddy.
My pleasure.
I've taken up boxing at Knox, and I'm certain it'll take me a while to build this skill. Similarly, building a business is a skill that comes from doing things. For frameworks, opportunities, and the best way to build, keep following us at Founders Office with Sarthak Ahuja.